Alright, so I'm pretty sure we all know the absolute masterpiece of a game, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. It wasn't delayed, it got released with absolutely no problems at all, and overall, it was just the perfect game. But somehow, Steelwool Studios managed to pull off the finesse of the century because they got given the green light to create this game a DLC. And seeing as how I'm a recent psych ward escapee, don't snitch on me. And I'm also known for just doing downright the stupidest things in every single one of these games. I thought, why not try the hardest challenge possible in the new Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin DLC. So in this video, I'm going to be beating the entirety of this game without running a single time. Just kidding. Who do you think I am? A baby? That's right, I'm going to be beating Security Breach Ruin without running and without jumping throughout the entirety of this game. The rules for this challenge are extremely simple. We're going to be going through the entire game and getting every single ending without running and without jumping. I literally went into the controls and completely removed these buttons, so I can't even do it accidentally. Anything in the game, including glitches, is allowed for this challenge as long as it doesn't require sprinting or jumping to do. And that basically does it for the rules. Think of it as we're playing as a child with old people knees. I don't know. And with all that said, let's just get straight into this challenge. We of course start off this game in Chapter 1, and we play as Cassie, who again is the girl with bad knees. 5 minutes into the game, and we've already committed a federal offense and walked inside the destroyed, run-down Pizzaplex. Why are we doing this exactly? It's because we have to save our dumb friend who got stuck down there, and instead of calling the police, they called us. As you saw from the chapter intro, there's 4 main things we have to do to complete this chapter. The first thing being find the flashlight. I would have just skipped grabbing the flashlight because it doesn't really do that much, but it is literally required to make it anywhere past the starting room. Luckily, there's no problems with this. I just have to take a prolonged walk all the way to the right to pick up the flashlight, and that's our first objective complete. And now we've made it to the main lobby of the Pizzaplex. After getting my bones absolutely crushed by a rogue utility cart, it's now time for us to find the Faz Wrench. The Faz Wrench is definitely harder to get than the flashlight because it requires us to do way more stuff. First, we have to make it over to the elevator shaft where we pick up the Roxy Talkie, which is technically an item because we need it to proceed, but it's never used in anything other than cutscenes.
Something grabbed me. You won't let me go.
You f***ing stupid, dumb kid. F*** you.
And after making fun of Gregory because he's stupid, we can now enter the elevator shaft, which has some very conveniently made stairs which lead to a ladder. After climbing the ladder, we crawl through a vent, which, hey, guess what? It breaks. Although, apart from my broken legs, that fall wasn't completely terrible, because after we walk through a few rooms, we can now pick up our Faz Wrench. The Faz Wrench is super useful. It helps us open doors, solve puzzles, and do a bunch of other stuff throughout the entire game. And after a bit more walking, there is again a very well-placed ramp for us to walk up and get assaulted. Once we get attacked by Monty, we fall in some water and drown. Oh, that's it. I'm just kidding, we didn't die. We fell out of Monty's mouth, and now we're in everybody's favorite place, Gator Golf. And it's here where we complete our third objective, again just by walking. We run into MaskBot, and we get given our security mask. Right now, the 3 things we collected don't do anything for the challenge because we haven't had any problems yet. We've just been walking. But trust me when I say this, the security mask becomes super important during this challenge. As for right now, the Vanny mask is just used to phase through objects that are in our way and some random electronic bullshit. Once we actually make it into Gator Golf, we get blessed by the stair gods. There's one here, one there, some here, even more over here. There's just a lot of them. Meaning, there is no need for jumping throughout this entire section. But what about running? Looking at the camera systems, Monty appears to be in the room with us. Or is he? I'll answer that for you. He's not. On a separate save file, I literally ran through this entire section as fast as possible and never saw him a single time. So much like no jumping, if there's no reason to be running in the first place, I don't need to do it. After slowly meandering my way through Monty Golf, we make it to this part, which is slightly concerning because those are boxes, not stairs. But after watching a few Nick A30 videos, I remembered to never give up, and I just walked up the boxes. Once we've done that, it's back to just regular old electrician stuff. Simply put, there's these things called security nodes, which are connected via wire directly to child nodes. And in order to deactivate the security node, we need to first scan all the child nodes, then we can do a puzzle to deactivate the node. I beat your mom. I was gonna say I beat your mom on, like, at puzzles on Facebook. Like that. Okay, anyways. The next security node is a bit more interesting, because if we spend too much time in the security mask, we can die by the hands of this thing. This is obviously a problem because we have to quickly run between child nodes to scan them, and I can't run. But then, you know, you remember that you can just take off the mask and he can't kill you, and then it's not a problem. Apart from being slightly stupid because I can't solve these puzzles. Wait, why am I stupid? Why am I stupid? Am I stupid? Yeah, I'm stupid. The rest of this part is really easy. It's just more security node destruction. Once we destroy all the security nodes, that opened up a door which was previously electrified, which, you know, we could have walked through if Cassie wasn't such a bitch. From here, it's just a bunch more puzzles, security node breaking, ramps, and a lot of walking. We do actually have a bit of a problem at the very end of this chapter. In this back room, we are required to digitally make a hole through this wall so that we can walk through it. And to get up there, we are given some bins, but we can't walk up them. I'm just kidding, we can. That's right, we've already made it to chapter 2 without any problems, and chapter 2 is actually one of my favorite chapters, and it's all for one reason. The motherfucking daycare, baby. By walking up another set of weird janky hitboxes, we have already made it into the daycare. Once we've made it inside the daycare, we get introduced to an animatronic that has without a doubt the coolest design in this entire game, Eclipse. Eclipse is the combination of the two daycare animatronics, Sun and Moon. And in order to reboot him, we need to walk through the daycare and go to 2 different structures to turn on 2 different generators. In order to make it inside the first structure of the daycare, we need to look through the camera system for 2 different anomalies. Once we've found and scanned both anomalies, the object that was blocking our entrance into the structure will disappear. And once we've done that, it's as simple as just exploring the structure until we make it to the top to turn on the generator. After turning on the first generator, we do some more walking until we make it to the second structure and do literally the exact same thing with the camera system. Turn on the camera system, find the 2 anomalies, object disappears, climb to the top, turn on the generator, yada yada yada. Just in case you were missing your minutely dose of well-placed ramps, here's another one. With the 2 generators turned on, we shine a ton of light towards Eclipse, and this actually makes him malfunction, freezing him in place. So now we can run up behind him, jab a taser in his neck, and kill him. Or reboot him. Imagine the reboot doesn't work and he just like lifts us up and then lies and drops us. He just drops us from 20 feet up in the air. Sadly, Eclipse does not drop us to our death, but he does escort us out from the daycare. After leaving the daycare, that is our second objective finished, and we're basically halfway through this chapter. And it's now time for even more security node shenanigans, as well as everybody's favorite animatronics, the endoskeletons. Look at these guys, you know? They're so happy, they're great. Never mind. These guys suck balls. I'm talking like major whale testicles. These guys really suck. For those of you who don't know how these guys work, they can only move and attack the player if you're not directly looking at them. This is a problem because there's so many objects that could get in the way of the line of sight, and it's not like I can just run away from them if they get too close. And also, I'm just constantly turning around trying to scan stuff because I guess I'm a mechanic now. The funny thing about this is, these endoskeletons are annoying, but that's if you don't know what you're doing. If you use the security mask, the endoskeletons will no longer track you, and they also can't kill you. So as long as I don't spend too much time in the mask scanning all the nodes, I'm basically safe from any danger. So with this almighty power, I walk past all the stupid dumb robots while scanning all the nodes, and there we go, we made it to the theater. When we're in the theater, it's actually really easy to escape. We do another camera anomaly thing and walk up this ramp to the exit. But that's not that interesting, and I don't care about that, so I'm going to show you some glitches. The first glitch isn't doable in this challenge because it requires you to sprint and jump, but I'm still going to show you. You can jump off the ramp onto this trash can and then onto this box, and if you put on your security mask, you can just walk through the wall. Again, this isn't possible in the challenge and also doesn't do anything, but it's cool. As for glitches you can actually do in this challenge, we also have those. In this secret back room of the theater, there's actually a robot that we can deactivate, but the problem is we can't get to it without jumping. But you can probably guess what I'm gonna say, we can do that. If you put on the security mask, a cardboard staircase gets created that takes you to this top area. And from here, we can walk up on top of a blue table and shove ourselves in a wall. And if we put on our security mask while we're standing against the wall, for some reason, we begin to levitate. Sometimes this will literally shove you straight out through the wall and you can fall out into the void and die. But if you're up in the air, you can take off your mask and hold right to land on the railing. And from here, you can walk off the ledge to land up on top of the blocks that you couldn't get to normally. And there we go. We can now deactivate the robot without jumping. I don't know, I just thought it was cool. Chapter 3 is what I call Monty's Revenge. We start off in a vent, and of course this vent breaks, and we fall a very large height into a roller coaster cart that just happened to be there. Following this, my ankle bones are now oatmeal, and we are forced to endure the longest roller coaster ride in any video game ever. After this ride, the cart for some reason just speeds up, and the child decides to jump from the goddamn roller coaster cart, and somehow we just land and we're just chilling. We are now at what is known as the catwalk, and our job is to again destroy a security node so that we can open up a gate which leads to a new path of the roller coaster. I'm just gonna spoil it, there is nothing that can actively kill us here. Obviously, if we wear the mask too long, we will die, but this isn't a problem because I can just take off the mask, wait a bit, and then put it back on. When I say active ways to die, I mean animatronics. There is a way to die, and that's by jumping off. I know that sounds pretty easy to not do, but some of the platforms are slippery, and sometimes there's just a massive gap in some of the platforms. So it is kind of hard to stay on the catwalk, but since I'm not running, I'm forced to go slow, so in this challenge, it's not that difficult. And as for no jumping, Overall, the catwalk is a pretty flat area. If there ever is a spot where you would need to jump, there is always a staircase. And apart from some janky hitboxes that you have to do some wiggling to get past, this is really just normal gameplay, but slow. So after walking around and deactivating all 4 child nodes, we can return to the security node and do some classic old people puzzles. And after solving that with absolutely no problem at all, the gate opens and we get to take another super long roller coaster ride. I don't remember what it was, hold on. I think I had to put the electricity through the boom. Yeah, no, I remember. I'm not completely stupid, just a little bit sometimes. Occasionally, on occasion. We made it to Gugn. After we make it to the maintenance tunnel, we walk up a staircase and we're now in the kitchen, which is where Chica is, right? Yeah, just not a live Chica. I have absolutely no idea why we're doing this and how this helps us find our friend, but we have to walk through the kitchen and turn on 3 generators with our Faz wrench. One of the generators is on the bottom floor and there's 2 on the top floor. In order to make it to the top floor, we don't need to jump, there's just a ladder. When we turn on the 3rd generator, the conveyor belts start moving, and there's Chica, dead as fuck. And for some reason, we're gonna follow her, and to do so, we need to step up onto a conveyor belt. To get up on top of the conveyor belt, it again looks like we have to jump, but there are more perfectly placed bins that we can use as a staircase and just walk up. After crawling through the conveyor belt, we again fall on my oatmeal legs, and that does it for Chapter 3. We start off this chapter by looking through a hole because we can no longer put on our mask. Inside this hole, there's the weird rabbit thing and he's playing with a toaster. That's it. It turns out that toaster we saw was actually a signal jammer, so now we have to go on another conveyor belt just to get wombo comboed by a giant cupcake. And guess what? It happens again. I fall off the conveyor belt and fall straight on my back onto a bunch of metal, and I just get up like nothing happened. We have now made it to an area that was known in Security Breach as the Cupcake Shop. And in this area, it's time for us to hide from Chica, because she's not actually dead, she just wanted to take a nap on the conveyor belt. As long as I'm not being stupid, really the only time she can kill us is during this camera section. In the camera system, we can use something that is extremely similar to the audio lure in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. All we have to do is select a camera and play the audio, and Chica will go over to that camera. So if we play an audio lure on this bottom right camera and we wait for her to walk past us, we literally have a free walk to the next section. Although before we can actually make it there, when we walk past this doorway here, there's a very short chase sequence which we can just walk through. After that absolutely riveting moment, Chica gets crushed by a block of concrete, we can now turn off the toaster, and we can also turn off another security node. Which is what I would say if I was good at puzzles, which I totally am. I definitely didn't take 3 minutes taking my mask on and off, trying not to die. Once we destroy the security node, we can now walk into this room, which looks like we just entered the emoji movie, but apparently this is the server room. Just to let you know, the server room is very boring. We walk through the quote-unquote server room and do a few camera anomaly puzzles, and that's it. After leaving the server room, we walk through a ton of very crowded hallways, which require super precise movements to make it through without jumping. Luckily for me, I have the power of oatmeal legs on my side, and we made it through without any problems. And that does it for chapter 4. This chapter is very boring, but trust me, the next one is actually pretty cool. Starting off this chapter, we of course bully Roxy because she has no face and she runs away from us. She runs into a secret room through these 2 doors, but for some reason we can't run through those doors, and instead we have to destroy a security node. To start off this section, we scan the first node, which is this picture of Roxy right next to the ball pit. After scanning the node, we get stuck in our mask again and we have to go turn off another toaster. Once we do that, the same thing happens with the second node. We scan it, we get stuck in the mask, and we go and turn off a toaster. Once we deactivate the second toaster, we can now go and scan the third and fourth node, which seem to be very broken. Like, I could never scan both of these without any problems. This seemed to happen to me every single time. Whenever I would scan one of these nodes, I would get stuck in my mask, and I would never be let out of it until I died. So I scanned all 4 nodes and tried to play hide and seek with Glitch Trap, and that obviously didn't work, so I had to die and redo it all over again. Luckily, this time it worked, and we can return back to the start to destroy the security node. One weird thing does happen when we try and make it back to the security node. This pile of balls is really hard to climb without the security mask on. Like, sometimes it will just let you up perfectly fine, and other times it has like an invisible wall that won't let you anywhere near it. But when we put on the security mask, it's like there's nothing even there and we can walk up it without any problems. Alternatively, if that happened to not work, we could solve the puzzle on this door near node 4, and walking through this door literally returns us to the beginning of this chapter, and the security node is right there. Once we destroy the security node, we do more walking and we make it to our first major problem in this challenge. It's what I like to call Monty's Swamp. During a regular playthrough, this section is meant for you to show off your super cool parkour skills to avoid Monty who's sitting in the water. But in this challenge, I'm not going to be doing a lot of parkour because I can't run or jump. The funny thing about this is, you move faster than Monty in the water, so this first part can literally be beaten seconds after you spawn. The problem with the second part is, it's a straight tunnel, meaning we have to walk directly towards where Monty spawns. But if I'm being completely honest, the second part is kind of a joke. There's actually 2 ways this part can be beaten without running or jumping. The first way is extremely easy. When you first enter the room, for some reason, Monty has a massive delay when he spawns. Like, in the footage right now, I'm literally just sitting there staring at him, and he's not doing anything because he's still delayed. So, while he's stuck there, you have enough time to just walk to the door, solve the puzzle, and leave. The second way we can beat this is arguably funnier. If we do sit there and wait for his delay to run out, he'll start chasing after us. And when he does, we are again faster than him, so we can move into this corner and just get Monty stuck on the staircase and interrogate him. And you might be wondering, well, he's stuck in front of you, so how is this a solution? Well, in addition to Monty's massive delay at the beginning, he also has micro delays between attacking periods. Meaning, if we wait for one of these, we can just stroll right past him and walk to the door. And since we've gotten far enough away from him, he's still stuck on the staircase and doesn't bother chasing after us. So there we go. I just turned a section that would be pretty hard for this challenge into my goddamn bit, and we're on to the next one. And by next section, I mean electrocuting Monty to death, walking past some staff bots with cool hats, walking up a staircase, and we're done. That's right, this chapter literally has one thing to do, and that's escape Roxy. This chapter starts off with a camera section, which is very boring. There's doors blocking our way that we can't walk through, so all we do is lure Roxy over to the door, then play an audio lure on the camera behind the door, and she busts through it like the goddamn Kool-Aid man. So, Roxy is literally walking in front of us at all times, so there is no need to run away from her because she's running from us. The one and only interesting thing about this section is the fact that we can get stuck in this bin. But anyways, after just walking through the camera section, we almost get Tokyo drifted on by an invisible man in a go-kart. And after this, we go solve a puzzle on a door and then get harassed by Roxy, but we threaten to cancel her on Twitter and she quickly gives up. After that endeavor, we walk through even more flat terrain and we have already made it to chapter 7. I told you this one was short. After the speedrun that was chapter 6, it's time for a bit of a longer chapter, chapter 7, and we of course start off this chapter by doing some motherfucking bowling. Well, not actually, but after climbing up even more perfectly placed ramps and boxes, we are now in Bonnie Bowl. If you somehow don't like Bonnie Bowl, then I'm sorry, but I don't like you. In this section, we're given 2 jobs: deactivate all the child nodes so we can deactivate the main security node, as well as escape from the little music men. These 2 objectives go hand in hand because the little music men always spawn in the same location as the node, and in order to get rid of them, we of course have to use more audio lures. The first child node is very easy to get. Place an audio lure on this camera, creepily watch them leave, and then go scan a giant shoe. When we deactivate a child node in a given area, the cool thing is the music men in that area also get deactivated. So once we deactivate the first child node, we also deactivate the music men there, and we can just walk to the second one. The second child node is hidden behind this puzzle door right here, and it follows pretty much the exact same principles as the first one. Go into the camera system, place an audio lure at this camera, walk past them, and go scan the node. After deactivating the music men here, we can keep walking and crouch under this garage door, and now we've made it to the third node. I don't really think I have to say anything, because it's the exact same thing. Camera, audio lure, look, walk, node. And with that done, we only have 1 child node left, and after sticking myself inside an arcade cabinet, I'm ready to do some crazy shit. To get the 4th child node, I bet you cannot guess what we have to do. If you answered the exact same thing for the 4th time in a row, you'd be correct. That's right, we scanned a giant bowling pin, walked all the way back to the security node, and did some crazy Facebook mom puzzles. Now that we've finished all that, we can walk up some even more perfectly placed boxes. Developers, I love you. And we can now enter the wormhole, which completes all 3 of our objectives and finishes off this chapter. Alright, so chapter 8, it's bad. The start is perfectly fine. We're just walking through one of the coolest areas in Security Breach, Phaser Blast. You know, walking through a couple vents, doing some teleporting, destroying a security node. But then everything becomes very bad very fast because we have another chase sequence. But this chase sequence is nothing like Chica's. It's about 6 times longer, and the animatronic chasing us is way faster. So before you ask, just nonchalantly walking through this part is not gonna work. What, you don't believe me? You really don't? Alright, here you go. So yeah, and guess what? That's not even all the attempts. I could never make it even halfway through this chase sequence. We are definitely gonna need to do something differently, and by that I mean it's time to find a major glitch. But this is gonna be a massive problem, because for a majority of the time before this chase sequence, we're just crawling through really tight vents with no glitches. So after many hours of glitch hunting, here's what I found. In total, I found 4 glitches, 3 of which are just completely random. If you put on your security mask and walk up on top of this cardboard box and then take your mask off, occasionally the game will force you up on top of the invisible hitbox of the box and push you really high into the air. The only thing cool with this is it's possible without jumping, but there's nothing else we can do here. The second glitch is, if you have your mask on, you can take it off right as you're walking through this object, and you can get over to where the portal is, but without your mask on. Usually, being over here would lock you into your mask, but again, this is just useless and kinda cool. The third glitch is, in the room with the toaster, if you sit in this corner, for some reason you can take your mask off without even turning off the toaster. Sadly, as cool as these glitches are, they don't help us complete the challenge at all. But what about the fourth one? The fourth glitch is very interesting. It literally allows the player to skip the entirety of the chase section, but there is a big problem. To complete this glitch properly, it requires jumping. You climb up some really weird invisible walls, and from there you can fall down onto the outer wall of Phaser Blast and just walk to the toaster. But this glitch is obviously not possible because we can't jump in this challenge. So I'm sad to say this, but this challenge is impossible. The chase sequence can be completed without running, and it can also definitely be completed without jumping. But both challenges together in one, it's sadly not possible. So with the rules we have set right now, this section is not going to work, but I still want to see if the rest of this game is beatable without running and jumping. Moving on from Freddy's chase sequence, we head into a room and head into a vent, and guess what? It's time for another chase sequence. That's right, this section does not just end because we now have to crawl through the vents while being chased by a mini Music Man. And just to let you know, this section is really hard. No, I'm just kidding. The mini Music Man moves ever so slightly faster than the player that right when we make it out of the tunnel, we get jump scared. But since we passed the vent trigger and made it to the next room and then died, the game just assumes that we made it there perfectly fine and respawns us past the vent. So after having a mini heart attack because I thought there was going to be another impossible part, turns out it's perfectly fine, and we are finally done with Chapter 8. At the end, there is this pile of garbage, which looks a little bit suspicious, but we don't need to jump, we can just walk straight up it. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to the final chapter. The first thing we need to do in this chapter is walk up some perfectly placed boxes, and then go reboot Roxy. What's poppin'?
What are you doing?
Shoving this taser in your eye socket. It's nothing personal. I honestly don't care. I couldn't care less. And as much as I didn't want to kill Roxy, we have to do it to proceed, and now we're in for the longest walk in human history. We walk down many sets of stairs, we walk through a bunch of concrete, then take an elevator, then crawl through a hole, and we're still not done. Like, where the f*** am I? What you're looking at right now is a Five Nights at Freddy's game, apparently. Regardless of the fact that it looks like I'm playing Minecraft with a very realistic texture pack, we're still not done walking. We keep walking until we run into Candy Cadet, we say what's good, and then walk down a set of stairs, and now we're where the burn trap ending was. And after another set of stairs and more punishment to my oatmeal bones, we have finally made it to where Gregory is. From here, we can walk over the computer and deactivate the security protocols, and now all we need to do is bust through a concrete wall with a forklift. And there we go. That is definitely Gregory. Trust me, it's him.
Get out of here!
Roxy, what the f***? I'm trying to save Gregory, you asshole. All jokes aside, that's obviously not Gregory. Apparently, this is the Mimic. And there is no other ending that would fit other than the final section being a chase sequence. I'm not going to draw this out and make it seem like it's more difficult than it is. As long as we don't get stuck on a rock or a wall, we can just walk to the end. Once we've made it to the puzzle, all we have to do is solve it, and we can enter the elevator, and we are now safe. And the ending we got here is actually the bad ending, because Gregory literally kills us. But if you remember the rules from the intro, we need to complete every single ending, and that's what we're gonna do. Counting the ending we just got, there's only 2 endings left, one of which we don't even need any previous qualifications for. We can get it right now. Restarting from the beginning of Chapter 9, we have to walk all the way back to where quote-unquote Gregory is. After that non-infuriating 10-minute walk all the way back, we do the exact same thing. Turn off the safety protocols and power on the forklift. And then Roxy attacks the Mimic and dies, whatever. The only thing that actually matters is what we do during the chase sequence. For majority of the chase, we just take the regular path until we see this part with the green mushrooms. And when we do, instead of taking a right like we normally would, we take a left to go find a Freddy cutout. Once we reach the Freddy cutout, we put on our mask and we get the ending. But this ending is actually harder to get than the regular one. For some reason, whenever we turn left, the Mimic is just really mean. And in order to get this ending without running, we need to be absolutely perfect. We can't get stuck on a rock or something, we gotta cut corners as best as possible, and when we do, we get just enough time to get our second ending. But like I mentioned earlier, one of them we can get right now. The other one requires us to do a ton of extra shit. The final ending requires us to go back and redo chapters 1, 3, 5, and 7 so that we can find secrets in these 4 camera systems. In each of these cameras, if we look at the map at the bottom right and zoom out, there's actually a secret camera for us to click on. And you guessed it, we have to look at the 4 secret cameras throughout the 4 chapters to get this ending. Chapter 1 secret camera is found at the very first camera system in this game in Monty Golf. Chapter 3's secret is found at the camera system right next to the chair node in the catwalk. Chapter 5's secret is found during the camera puzzle you need to complete to find the 4th node. And the 4th and final secret is found in the camera system in Bonnie Bowl right next to the bowling pin node. Once we've found all 4 secrets, we can return back to Chapter 9, where we once again have to do the really long walk. I'm going insane. But nothing matters because we have made it to the final part of the final ending, and now we know why this was a secret ending. The Mimic is a furry. After finding out he's a furry, Roxy decks the shit out of the Mimic, but somehow that didn't work, so now it's time for our final chase sequence. For the entire chase sequence, everything looks perfectly normal until we make it to where the elevator would be. That exit is actually blocked off, and now we can see what the secret cameras actually did. They unlocked a bunch of doors, which leads to a secret scooping room. Somehow, we can make it to the secret room without any problems just by walking, and we finally finish off this game and this challenge by scooping a robot furry. Ladies and gentlemen, we have beaten every single ending of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin without running or jumping, except for one part. As of right now, I don't actually know if there's a glitch that makes this possible because I'm literally recording this a day after the game came out. I had a really fun time doing this challenge, and hopefully you had just as much fun while watching it. There should be a playlist of all my Five Nights at Freddy's challenges on screen right now, so you can go watch those if you want to. But that's basically all I have to say for this video, and as always, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.